Olivia Bennett stood in front of her bathroom mirror, adjusting the collar of her cream-colored blouse for the third time. Her hands shook slightly as she smoothed down the fabric of her charcoal blazer. This interview meant everything. At 27, she had spent the last 4 years juggling multiple part-time jobs while raising her son alone. And this opportunity at Sterling Innovations could finally give them the stability they desperately needed. The morning light filtered through the curtains of their small 2-bedroom apartment, casting a warm glow across the modest space. In the next room, she could hear her 4-year-old son, Lucas, singing softly to himself as he played with his toy cars. His voice was pure and innocent, completely unaware that today might change their lives forever. A mother's determination, Olivia walked into Lucas's room and knelt beside him. The little boy looked up at her with bright hazel eyes that sparkled with curiosity. His sandy brown hair fell across his forehead in soft waves, and his smile could light up the darkest room. "Mommy has an important meeting today," Olivia said gently, brushing his hair back. "Mrs. Henderson from downstairs will take care of you until I get back." Lucas wrapped his small arms around her neck. "Will you get the job, Mommy?" "I hope so, sweetheart. I really hope so." Margaret Henderson arrived 20 minutes later, a kind retired teacher who had become their saving grace over the years. As Olivia gathered her portfolio and purse, she caught sight of herself in the hallway mirror one last time. The woman staring back at her looked professional and confident, but inside, her stomach churned with nervous energy. Entering a new world, Sterling Innovations occupied the top 15 floors of the Meridian Tower, a stunning glass structure that dominated the city skyline. As Olivia stepped into the marble lobby, she felt like she had entered a different universe. Everything gleamed with success and wealth. Men and women in expensive suits moved purposefully through the space, their designer shoes clicking against polished floors. The elevator ride to the 38th floor felt eternal. Olivia clutched her portfolio tighter, mentally reviewing the answers she had practiced for days. She had researched the company extensively, memorizing their latest projects, their corporate values, and their impressive growth trajectory. What she had not focused on was the man behind it all. Nathan Sterling remained a mysterious figure in her research. Most articles focused on his business achievements rather than personal details. At 32, he had built a technology empire from nothing, creating software solutions that revolutionized how businesses operated globally. He was known for being brilliant, demanding, and intensely private. The reception Victoria Chen, the human resources director, greeted Olivia with a professional smile. She was an elegant woman in her 40s, wearing a tailored burgundy suit that spoke of refined taste. Her office was sleek and modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering breathtaking views of the city below. "Miss Bennett, your portfolio is truly impressive," Victoria said, reviewing the documents spread across her desk. "Your campaign strategies show remarkable innovation. The position requires someone who can think 3 steps ahead and handle pressure with grace." Olivia felt her confidence building. "Thank you, Mrs. Chen. I thrive in challenging environments. My experience managing multiple projects simultaneously has prepared me for demanding roles." Victoria nodded approvingly. "The executive assistant position is unique. You would work directly with Nathan Sterling, managing his schedule, preparing briefings, and representing him in various capacities. The compensation reflects the responsibility involved, including a starting salary of $130,000 annually, plus comprehensive benefits." The figure took Olivia's breath away. It was more money than she had ever imagined earning. With that salary, she could move Lucas to a better school, find them a larger apartment, and stop worrying about every grocery bill. The moment everything changed. "Nathan prefers to conduct final interviews personally," Victoria explained as they walked through corridors lined with contemporary art. "He has exceptional instincts about people and rarely makes mistakes in his judgments." They stopped before a set of imposing oak doors. Victoria knocked twice before opening them, revealing an office that resembled a luxury penthouse more than a workspace. The room was enormous, featuring a sitting area with leather furniture, a conference table, and an executive desk positioned to maximize the spectacular city views. But Olivia barely noticed the surroundings. Her entire world narrowed to the man rising from behind the desk. Nathan Sterling was tall and athletic, his broad shoulders evident even beneath his perfectly tailored navy suit. His dark brown hair was styled professionally, and his hazel eyes held an intensity that commanded attention. But it was not his appearance that made Olivia's heart stop. She knew this man. 5 years ago, the memory crashed over her like a tidal wave. Chicago, a technology conference where she had been working as a registration assistant to earn extra money during college. The hotel bar where she had gone to decompress after a particularly difficult day. The handsome stranger who had struck up a conversation about artificial intelligence and digital marketing. They had talked for hours that night. He had been charming and attentive, making her laugh with his observations about the corporate world. He had never mentioned his last name or his company. She had been so enchanted by his warmth and intelligence that she had not asked the right questions. One drink had led to another, and eventually they had ended up in his hotel room. The next morning, mortified by her uncharacteristic behavior, Olivia had slipped away before dawn. She had convinced herself it was just a fleeting moment, a beautiful memory that belonged in the past. Then, 6 weeks later, she discovered she was pregnant. Recognition Nathan's eyes met hers across the office, and she watched the exact moment recognition dawned on his face. His professional composure flickered, surprise and something deeper flashing across his features. His lips parted slightly as if he wanted to speak but could not find the words. "Miss Bennett," he finally said, his voice carefully controlled but noticeably rougher than moments before. "Please, have a seat." Olivia forced herself to move forward on unsteady legs. Her mind raced with panic and disbelief. Of all the companies in the city, of all the positions she could have applied for, fate had brought her here, to him, to the father of her child who had no idea Lucas even existed. Victoria settled into a chair beside the desk, completely oblivious to the electric tension filling the room. Nathan remained standing for a moment longer. His gaze locked on Olivia's face as if trying to confirm that his memory was not deceiving him. "Your qualifications are exceptional," Nathan began, his tone professional but his eyes revealing the storm of emotions beneath the surface. "Tell me about your approach to crisis management. How do you handle unexpected situations that require immediate adaptation?" The question felt loaded with double meaning. Olivia took a deep breath, willing her voice to remain steady. "I believe in facing challenges directly and honestly. Avoiding difficult situations only makes them more complicated. The best approach is to address issues head-on with clarity and integrity." Something flickered in Nathan's expression. Understanding, perhaps, or recognition of the unspoken conversation happening beneath their professional exchange. The interview continued for 40 minutes, but every question felt like they were speaking 2 languages simultaneously. The surface conversation about marketing strategies and corporate responsibilities masked the deeper dialogue about the past, about that night 5 years ago, about the life-changing secret that sat between them like an invisible wall. "The offer, Miss Bennett," Nathan said finally, his voice quiet but firm. "The position is yours if you want it. You can start Monday morning." Olivia's heart pounded. Accepting this job meant seeing Nathan every day, working beside him while carrying the weight of her secret. But refusing meant throwing away the opportunity that could transform her and Lucas's life. "I accept," she whispered. As Victoria walked her out, discussing paperwork and start dates, Olivia glanced back one last time. Nathan stood at his window, his silhouette dark against the bright skyline. Even from a distance, she could feel the weight of his gaze, the unspoken questions hanging in the air between them. The storm had begun, and there was no turning back now. Monday morning arrived with a sense of inevitability that made Olivia's stomach twist into knots. She had spent the entire weekend rehearsing how she would act, what she would say, and how she would maintain professional boundaries. Lucas had sensed her anxiety, asking repeatedly if she was okay, his small hand patting her cheek with concern that broke her heart. Now, standing in the elevator ascending to the 38th floor, Olivia clutched her new leather briefcase like a lifeline. She wore a sophisticated black dress with a structured blazer, her hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. The reflection in the polished elevator doors showed a confident professional woman, but inside, she felt like she was walking toward a precipice. The executive floor hummed with controlled energy. Assistants moved efficiently between offices, their heels clicking against marble floors. The air smelled of expensive coffee and ambition. Victoria met her at the elevator with a welcoming smile and a tablet loaded with information. "Welcome to the team, Olivia. Your office is right outside Nathan's suite. You'll be his primary point of contact for everything from scheduling to strategic planning, learning." The rhythm Olivia's workspace was separated from Nathan's office by a glass partition that offered transparency while maintaining boundaries. Her desk was equipped with 3 monitors, a sophisticated phone system, and access to every department in the building. Through the glass, she could see into Nathan's office, watch him pace during phone calls, see him review documents with fierce concentration. The first morning passed in a blur of orientation meetings, system tutorials, and introductions to key staff members. Everyone spoke of Nathan with a mixture of respect and slight apprehension. He was fair but demanding, brilliant but uncompromising, generous with those who met his standards but quick to dismiss those who did not. Their first direct interaction came just before noon. Nathan emerged from a conference call, loosening his tie as he approached her desk. His hazel eyes met hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. "I need the quarterly projections for the Tokyo expansion, the contracts from the Morrison deal, and coffee. Black, no sugar." His voice was all business, but she caught the slight hesitation before he added, "Please." "Right away, Mr. Sterling," Olivia replied, her tone matching his professionalism. As she prepared his coffee in the executive lounge, her hands trembled slightly. This was her life now, working beside the man who had given her Lucas, pretending they were strangers, carrying a secret that grew heavier with each passing moment. Unspoken tensions. The days fell into a rhythm, but the tension between them never fully disappeared. Nathan was a demanding boss, expecting excellence in every detail. He worked 16-hour days, took calls at midnight, and seemed to run on pure determination and caffeine. Olivia matched his pace, proving herself capable at every turn. But there were moments when the professional facade cracked. When their hands accidentally brushed while exchanging documents, electricity seemed to spark between them. When Nathan looked at her during meetings, she sometimes caught an expression in his eyes that had nothing to do with business. When she laughed at something a colleague said, she would glance up to find him watching her with an unreadable expression. 3 weeks into her employment, Nathan asked her to stay late to prepare for an important presentation. The office had emptied, leaving them alone in the quiet space with only the city lights glowing through the windows. "You're good at this," Nathan said suddenly, looking up from the presentation slides they were reviewing. "Better than my last 3 assistants combined." "Thank you, Mr. Sterling." "Nathan," he corrected quietly. "When it's just us, you can call me Nathan." The intimacy of the suggestion made her pulse quicken. "That would not be appropriate." He leaned back in his chair, studying her with those penetrating hazel eyes. "Olivia, are we going to keep pretending that Chicago never happened?" The conversation they could not avoid. The question hung in the air between them like a challenge. Olivia set down her tablet, her heart racing. What would be the point of discussing it? It was 5 years ago. We were different people, were we? Nathan stood and walked to the window, his hands in his pockets. "I think about that night more often than I should. The woman who talked about changing the world through authentic marketing, who laughed at my terrible jokes about algorithm optimization, who disappeared before I could even learn her full name." "It was a mistake," Olivia said quietly. "We both know it should not have happened." Nathan turned to face her, his expression intense. "Was it?" "Because from where I stand, that night felt more real than anything I had experienced in years. And then you vanished like you never existed." Olivia stood, needing to create distance between them. "I am your employee now, Mr. Sterling. Whatever happened in the past needs to stay there. I cannot afford to complicate this position." "Cannot afford?" Nathan's voice sharpened with understanding. "You mentioned having a son during the interview. How old is he?" The question made her freeze. "That is not relevant to my work performance." "4?" 5 years old? Nathan pressed, taking a step closer. Because I have been doing the math, Olivia. And the timing is interesting. The photograph panic fluttered in Olivia's chest. Many children are that age, Mr. Sterling. It does not mean anything. Show me a picture, Nathan said softly. You have photos on your desk. Show me your son. Her hand trembled as she picked up the small framed photograph of Lucas. In the picture, he was laughing at the park, his hazel eyes bright with joy, his sandy brown hair catching the sunlight. The resemblance to Nathan was undeniable if you knew what to look for. Nathan took the frame from her hands, staring at the image for a long moment. His jaw tightened, and she watched emotions flicker across his face. Shock, confusion, and something that looked like hope. His name is Lucas, Olivia whispered. He just turned 4 last month. 4 years old, Nathan repeated, his voice hollow. Born 9 months after Chicago. Mr. Sterling, please. Is he mine? The question was direct, his eyes boring into hers with desperate intensity. Tell me the truth, Olivia. Is that beautiful little boy my son? The weight of truth. The moment stretched between them, heavy with implications. Olivia had imagined this conversation 1,000 times, but nothing had prepared her for the raw vulnerability in Nathan's expression. Yes, she whispered finally. Lucas is your son. Nathan sank into the nearest chair, as if his legs could no longer support him. He continued staring at the photograph, his thumb tracing the outline of Lucas's face. Why did you not tell me? Why did you keep him from me? How could I? Olivia's voice cracked with emotion. I did not know your last name. I did not know how to find you. And when I finally learned who you were, you had become this untouchable billionaire. What was I supposed to do? Show up at your office with a baby and claim you were the father? You would have thought I was after your money. So instead, you said nothing? Nathan's voice held hurt and anger in equal measure. You let me miss 4 years of his life? His first steps, his first words, everything? I did what I thought was right, Olivia said, tears threatening to spill. I gave him a stable home, a loving environment. He is happy and healthy and so full of life. I have been both mother and father to him, and I would not change that for anything. Nathan stood abruptly, pacing the office like a caged animal. You should have told me during the interview. The moment you realized who I was, and risk losing the job we desperately needed? Risk you thinking I had engineered this entire situation? Olivia wiped at her eyes angrily. I have been surviving on my own for 4 years. Mr. Sterling, forgive me for being cautious about disrupting the life I built for my son. The shift. The silence that followed was thick with tension and unresolved emotions. Finally, Nathan turned to face her, his expression determined. I want to meet him, he said firmly. Not as your boss, as his father. Nathan, we need to think about this carefully. Lucas does not know about you. I cannot just introduce you as his father out of nowhere. Then what do you suggest? Nathan's voice softened slightly. Because now that I know he exists, I cannot just pretend otherwise. That little boy is my son, Olivia, my son. Do you understand what that means to me? Olivia saw the genuine emotion in his eyes and felt her resistance crumbling. We take it slowly. Let him get to know you first as a friend. Children are resilient, but they also need stability. I will not have him confused or hurt because we rush this. Nathan nodded slowly. Agreed. But Olivia, I want to be part of his life. Really part of it. Not just weekend visits or occasional appearances. I have already missed so much. Over the following week, they worked out the details. Nathan would come to dinner at their apartment on Saturday evening, introduced as Olivia's boss who wanted to meet her family. It was a thin cover story, but it would give Lucas a chance to interact with Nathan naturally. At work, their dynamic shifted subtly. The tension remained, but now it carried a different quality. They were no longer just employer and employee with a complicated past. They were two people navigating an impossible situation, trying to do what was best for a child who connected them in ways neither had anticipated. Nathan threw himself into learning everything about Lucas. He asked Olivia endless questions about his interests, his personality, his favorite foods and activities. She found herself sharing stories she had kept locked away for years, watching. Nathan's expression shift between joy at learning about his son and pain at realizing how much he had missed. He loves building things. Olivia told him one afternoon between meetings. Last week, he built an entire city out of cardboard boxes and insisted it had a spaceport for visiting aliens. Nathan smiled, a genuine expression that transformed his usually serious face. An engineer and a dreamer. I like that combination. He is special, Olivia said softly. Wait until you meet him. He is going to change your world. Nathan met her eyes across the desk. He already has. Saturday. Approaches. As Saturday drew closer, Olivia found herself increasingly nervous. She had prepared Lucas carefully, explaining that her boss was coming for dinner and that he should be on his best behavior. Lucas had been excited, asking if the boss was nice and if he would want to play with his toy cars. Remember, Olivia told Nathan on Friday afternoon, let him lead the conversation. Do not push too hard. Just be yourself. What if he does not like me? Nathan asked, and for the first time, she heard genuine fear in his voice. He will like you, Olivia assured him. You are his father. Some part of him will recognize that connection, even if he does not understand it yet. Nathan nodded, but she could see the anxiety in his expression. This powerful man who commanded boardrooms and negotiated billion-dollar deals was terrified of meeting his 4-year-old son. As Olivia left the office that evening, she paused at the door. Nathan, thank you for being willing to take this slowly. It means everything to me. He is my son, Nathan replied simply. I will do whatever it takes to be the father he deserves, even if I am starting 4 years late. The weekend loomed ahead, full of possibility and uncertainty, carrying the weight of revelations that would change all of their lives forever. Saturday evening arrived with the weight of anticipation that made every minute feel like an eternity. Olivia had spent the entire day cleaning their small apartment, cooking Lucas's favorite meal of spaghetti and meatballs, and trying to calm the nervous flutter in her stomach. Lucas bounced around the apartment with infectious excitement, changing his shirt 3 times because he wanted to look nice for the important visitor. Mommy, what time is your boss coming? Lucas asked for the 10th time, peering out the window at the street below. 6 o'clock, sweetheart. Just 20 more minutes. Olivia smoothed down his hair, noticing how the late afternoon light caught the hazel flecks in his eyes. Nathan's eyes. When the doorbell finally rang, Olivia took a deep breath before opening the door. Nathan stood in the hallway, looking uncharacteristically nervous. He had traded his usual business suit for dark jeans and a casual button-down shirt, holding a large gift bag and a bouquet of flowers. His eyes met hers with a mixture of hope and barely contained emotion. Hi, he said softly. Hi, Olivia replied, stepping aside to let him enter. Come in. First meeting Lucas appeared from the living room, suddenly shy now that the moment had arrived. He half hid behind Olivia's leg, peeking out at the tall stranger with curious eyes. Nathan knelt down to Lucas's level, his movements careful and deliberate. You must be Lucas. Your mom has told me so much about you. I'm Nathan. Lucas stepped out a bit, studying Nathan with the serious consideration that only children possess. You're really tall. Nathan laughed, the sound genuine and warm. I suppose I am, and you're exactly as awesome as I heard you were. Mommy says you work with computers and make important things, Lucas said, his confidence growing. Do you know about robots? I really like robots. I love robots, Nathan replied enthusiastically. Actually, I brought you something. Would you like to see? Lucas's eyes lit up as Nathan handed him the gift bag. Inside was a sophisticated building set featuring robotic components that could be programmed through a tablet. Lucas gasped with delight, immediately pulling out the pieces to examine them. This is the best present ever. Can we build something now? Nathan glanced at Olivia, who nodded with a soft smile. After dinner, buddy. Why don't you show Nathan your room while I finish setting the table? Building connections. Watching Nathan follow Lucas down the hallway, Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. The resemblance between them was striking when they stood side by side. The same walk, the same way of tilting their heads when curious, the same infectious enthusiasm when discussing something they loved. Through dinner, Lucas talked non-stop. About school, his friends, his favorite cartoons, and his dreams of becoming an astronaut scientist superhero when he grew up. Nathan listened with rapt attention, asking thoughtful questions and sharing stories of his own childhood that made Lucas giggle. "Did you really build a computer when you were 10? Lucas asked, his eyes wide with admiration. "I did, though it did not work very well at first," Nathan admitted. "I had to try many times before I figured it out. That's the thing about building things. Sometimes you fail, but you learn from it and try again." "That's what Mommy always tells me," Lucas said, glancing at Olivia. "She says mistakes are just learning adventures." Nathan's eyes met Olivia's across the table, something warm and appreciative passing between them. "Your mom sounds very wise." The construction project after dinner, Nathan and Lucas spread the robotic building set across the living room floor. Olivia watched from the couch as they worked together, Nathan's large hands guiding Lucas's smaller ones as they connected pieces and programmed simple movements. Their heads bent together over the tablet, concentrating on making their creation move. "Look, Mommy! We made it walk!" Lucas shouted with joy as their small robot took 3 wobbly steps before toppling over. "That's amazing, sweetheart! We're going to make it even better," Lucas declared. "Right, Nathan?" "Absolutely. We're a great team." Nathan's voice was thick with emotion as he ruffled Lucas's hair affectionately. As the evening progressed, Lucas gradually migrated closer to Nathan, eventually leaning against his side as they worked. Nathan's arm came around the boy naturally, protectively, and Olivia watched his expression transform with wonder and love. This was what she had kept from him. These precious moments of connection, the simple joy of being with his child. Bedtime revelations. When 8 o'clock arrived, Lucas yawned widely, despite his protests that he was not tired at all. "Time for bed, buddy," Olivia announced gently. "But we didn't finish the super advanced walking mode yet," Lucas complained. "I'll come back and we can finish it together," Nathan promised. "Would that be okay?" Lucas's face brightened. "Really? You'll come back?" "I promise." After Lucas brushed his teeth and changed into his pajamas, he surprised everyone by asking if Nathan could read him his bedtime story. Olivia's heart clenched as Nathan looked at her with questioning eyes. "If that's okay with your mom," Nathan said carefully. "Of course," Olivia whispered. She stood in the doorway as Nathan sat on the edge of Lucas's bed, reading a story about brave astronauts exploring distant planets. Lucas's eyes grew heavy, his small hand reaching out to hold Nathan's free hand. When the story ended, Lucas looked up at Nathan with sleepy contentment. "I really like you," Lucas said with the simple honesty of childhood. "I wish you could come over every day." Nathan's voice was rough with emotion. "I would really like that too, Lucas." "Nathan," Lucas said as his eyes drifted closed, "do you think my daddy would be like you? Mommy says he would have loved me, but I never got to meet him." The moment. Of truth, Olivia saw Nathan freeze, his eyes meeting hers across the dim room with an intensity that took her breath away. The question hung in the air, heavy with implications and possibilities. Nathan looked down at Lucas, who was already half asleep, and then back at Olivia. She saw the question in his eyes, the plea for permission to speak the truth that would change everything. Olivia stepped into the room and sat on the other side of the bed. Her hand reached out to stroke Lucas's hair gently. "Lucas, sweetheart, there's something important we need to tell you." Lucas's eyes opened slightly, confused by the serious tone in his mother's voice. "Remember how you've always asked about your daddy?" Olivia continued, her voice soft but steady. "Well, something very special happened. Your daddy has been looking for us, and he found us." "He did?" Lucas was more awake now, sitting up slightly. "Where is he?" Nathan's hand tightened on Lucas's small fingers. "I'm right here, buddy. I'm your dad." Lucas looked between Nathan and Olivia, his young mind trying to process this information. "You're my daddy? My real daddy?" "Yes," Nathan said, his voice breaking slightly. "I know this is confusing, and I'm sorry I haven't been here before. But I promise you, Lucas, if I had known about you, I would have been here from the very beginning. I would have been at the hospital when you were born. I would have been there for your first steps, your first words, everything. But you're here now?" Lucas asked, seeking confirmation of what mattered most to a child's heart. "I'm here now," Nathan confirmed. "And if you'll let me, I want to be here for everything from now on. Every soccer game, every school play, every robot we build together. I want to be your dad in every way that matters." Lucas was quiet for a moment, then he looked at Olivia. "Is it okay, Mommy? Can Nathan be my daddy?" Tears streamed down Olivia's face as she nodded. "Yes, baby. Nathan is your daddy, and he loves you very much." "I do love you," Nathan said, his own tears flowing freely now. "From the moment I learned you existed, you became the most important person in my world. And now that I've met you, now that I know how incredible you are, I love you even more than I thought possible." Lucas studied Nathan's face with that serious expression children get when making important decisions. Then, with the simple acceptance that only children possess, he threw his arms around Nathan's neck. "I always wanted a daddy, and you're really nice. I'm glad you're mine." The healing begins. Nathan wrapped his arms around his son, holding him close as years of missed moments and unspoken love poured out in that single embrace. Olivia joined them, her arms around both of them, and for the first time they felt like what they were supposed to be all along, a family. When Lucas finally settled back into bed, truly ready to sleep now, he looked up at both of them with contentment. "Will you both be here when I wake up?" "I'll be here," Olivia promised, kissing his forehead. "And I'll come back first thing in the morning," Nathan said. "We have a robot to finish, remember? And then can we do something together? All three of us?" Lucas asked hopefully. "Anything you want," Nathan assured him. After Lucas drifted off to sleep, Nathan and Olivia moved to the living room. They sat on the couch, the weight of the evening settling over them like a blanket. Conversations in the quiet. "Thank you," Nathan said finally, his voice raw with emotion. "Thank you for telling him. Thank you for letting me be part of his life. Thank you for raising him to be such an amazing kid." "I should have found a way to tell you sooner," Olivia admitted. "Watching you with him tonight, seeing how much you love him already, I realize how much I kept from both of you." Nathan took her hand gently. "We can't change the past, Olivia, but we can shape the future. I want to be a real father to Lucas, not just weekend visits or occasional dinners. I want to be there for school pickups and doctor appointments and midnight nightmares. I want all of it. What does that look like practically?" Olivia asked. "You're a billionaire CEO, and I'm your employee living in a tiny apartment. How do we make this work?" "However we need to," Nathan said firmly. "First, you're not my employee anymore. It's not appropriate given our situation. I'll arrange for you to transfer to another department with the same salary, or if you prefer, I'll provide support while you find another position elsewhere. I don't want your charity, Nathan. It's not charity. It's child support, and it's long overdue." Nathan's voice was gentle but insistent. "Lucas is my son. That means I'm responsible for his well-being and yours by extension. Let me help, Olivia. Let me make up for the years I wasn't there." Building a future over the following weeks, their lives transformed in ways none of them could have predicted. Nathan became a constant presence, picking Lucas up from preschool, attending parent-teacher meetings, and spending every spare moment with his son. He moved them to a larger apartment in a better neighborhood, close to an excellent school that Lucas would start in the fall. Olivia accepted a position as marketing director at a different company, one where her relationship with Nathan would not create conflicts of interest. The salary was generous, but more importantly, it gave her professional independence while allowing her to focus on their new family dynamic. Lucas bloomed under the attention of both parents. He called Nathan Daddy now with increasing confidence, and the bond between them grew stronger each day. Nathan taught him about technology and science, taking him to museums and laboratories. He read bedtime stories every night he could, and on the nights business kept him away. He video called to say goodnight. Unexpected loved one evening. 3 months after that transformative dinner, Nathan arrived at their apartment after putting Lucas to bed. He found Olivia in the kitchen, washing dishes and humming softly to herself. The domestic scene struck him with unexpected force. "Olivia," he said quietly, making her turn around. "Can we talk?" She dried her hands, noting the serious expression on his face. "Of course. Is everything okay?" "More than okay," Nathan said, stepping closer. "These past few months with you and Lucas have been the happiest of my life. Becoming a father has changed me in ways I never expected, but something else has changed too." "What do you mean?" Nathan took her hands in his. "That night in Chicago, I felt a connection with you that I had never experienced before. When you disappeared, I tried to forget you, but I never could. And now, getting to know you again, seeing the incredible mother you are, watching you laugh and care for our son, I've realized something important." Olivia's heart raced. "Nathan!" "I'm falling in love with you, Olivia. Maybe I never stopped loving you from that first night. I know this is complicated, and I know we need to think about Lucas first, but I can't keep pretending I only care about you as the mother of my child. You're so much more than that to me." New beginnings. Tears filled Olivia's eyes. "I feel it too. I've been so scared to admit it because everything is already so complicated. But when I see you with Lucas, when you smile at me across the dinner table, when you remember the little things I mention in passing, I feel like maybe we could be more than just co-parents." Nathan pulled her close, resting his forehead against hers. "We can take this as slowly as you need. Lucas comes first, always. But I want to try, Olivia. I want to see if we can build something real together, the three of us." "I want that too," she whispered. Their first kiss was gentle and sweet, filled with the promise of second chances and new beginnings. When they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. 6 months later, the wedding was small and intimate, held in the garden of Nathan's estate with only close friends and family present. Lucas served as ring bearer, taking his job very seriously as he walked down the aisle in his little suit. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Lucas cheered louder than anyone, running to hug both of his parents. "We're a real family now," he declared with pure joy. "We always were, buddy," Nathan said, lifting him up. "From the moment I met you, we were a family. This just makes it official." As the sun set over the celebration, Olivia stood with Nathan's arm around her waist, watching Lucas play with his new cousins on the lawn. The journey from that interview room to this moment had been unexpected and complicated. But looking at her husband and son, she knew every challenge had been worth it. "What are you thinking?" Nathan asked softly. "I'm thinking about how one interview changed everything," Olivia said. "How walking into that room and seeing you felt like my world was ending, but it was actually just beginning." Nathan kissed her temple. "Best hiring decision I ever made." "I love you," Olivia said, turning to face him. "I love you too. Both of you. My whole world." Nathan pulled her close as they watched their son laugh and play, surrounded by love and family. The story that had begun with a frozen moment of recognition had transformed into something beautiful. A tale of second chances, of love that transcended time and circumstance, of a family that was always meant to be. And as Lucas ran back to them, his arms open wide to embrace both his parents, they knew that their greatest adventure was just beginning. The end.